Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. Do you find yourself facing the psychological toll of business ownership? We get it. The struggle is real. Do any of these sound familiar? Anxiety, unexpected challenges, strained relationships, and that relentless to-do list that just won't quit. But fear not, because EntreThrive is here to rescue you. EntreThrive understands the struggles of entrepreneurship and is ready to guide you through transforming your life, gain confidence in decision-making, find balance, and rediscover your purpose. Say goodbye to stress, burnout, and hello to a life where you personally and professionally thrive. Visit EntreThrive.com today. That's E-N-T-R-E Thrive.com today and start your journey to holistic well-being. And here's something special for our listeners. Download a free EntreThrive EntreClarity Guide, a powerful tool designed to help entrepreneurs discover their guiding truths, personal principles, and beliefs that guide your decisions and actions. Head to EntreThrive.com now to get your free guide. That's EntreThrive, because your success starts with a healthy mind.
Coming up today on the Nice Guys on Business.
That's where I have found a really nice niche where I aspire to grow in terms of building my speaking career is really around the themes of adaptability. I've had to reinvent myself quite a few times over the years. I started this conversation with my mission and my path were divergent from the start. So I think all of my adaptions over all of these years has been getting back to where I started in the first place, which is what's the mark I want to leave in the world? And that mark to me is, what's the point of getting to a level of power or success as a woman if you don't lift the other women around you globally that have never had a chance?
What are we going to do today? Same thing we do every day, Pinky. Try to take over the world. Oh, and listen to the Nice Guys on Business podcast, of course. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, Nice Guy community. Meet Lisa Thie. She's the CEO of AMP Solutions. She's the maestro orchestrating digital safety for top-notch healthcare and global tech giants. Do you still do that? You do that, right? Okay, and you do that well, probably, right?
I hope so. I do have some repeat business. So if the market's telling me it's working.
We already know we're going to have a fun conversation. With a track record as CEO and co-founder of MinerGuard, still the same thing, right?
Yeah, that was our AI software company.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that, an AI software company dedicated to enhancing online and real-life safety for children. She's no stranger to the tech superhero scene. I'm excited to chat. Lisa, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thrilled to be here, Doug. Thank you for having me.
So, any show that stops and starts as many times in the intro, it only leads to, I own a podcast production company. How ridiculous is that? But, I feel like it's real life conversations. It's like, whose career is not fluid these days?
Very, very relatable. And in fact, I think a lot of us things are happening to us in our careers versus we're driving some of those changes right now. So I think it's just a reflection of the times.
Well, and a lot of that really has to do with technology. I mean, it's a great starting point for our conversation. I mean, technology is moving so very fast. And how do you keep up? I mean, I know you wrote a book. I want you to share the title of the book and maybe a little background about the book. But how are people supposed to keep up with this fast-paced tech environment that we live in today?
That was definitely one of the themes that motivated me to write a book in the first place was, in my job since 2015, when I returned to technology after getting married and having my children, I get a lot of exposure to what's coming, like what's it going to be like in 2, 3, 5 years. And so I think I always have one foot in the present and then one foot in the future as I'm thinking through implications. So when I started writing in 2021, one of the main motivating factors that I had there was seeing these trends of AI and how it was going to be democratized. Now, I didn't know if it was going to happen particularly in 2023 at the beginning of the year like it unfolded, but I knew that it was imminent. And I knew that, based on some of the predictions, that by 2025, data literacy is going to be a necessary skill for the workforce. And if you're not figuring out how to leverage AI, you're not going to lose your job to AI, but you might lose your job to someone who knows how to use it effectively to get the job done.
I think about it, all the conversations I have with my mom. My mom is almost 91 years. Yeah, 91 years old this year. And one of the challenge, or 90 this year, one of the challenges that she has, she has an iPhone and she uses it, but she's kind of going through some of the growing pains that we all go through. And we think about our parents and technology. And with us, when we were growing up, at least for me, when it was growing up, it was to have or not to have a PC or a Mac. That was important because in the 80s, when that stuff happened, it's just amazing all of the tech changes that are out there. If you don't keep up with technology, can you still survive in today's workforce?
I think that it has been more forgiving historically than it will be going forward. And so as I was writing my book, Go Reboot Your Career in 90 Days, it really isn't about just getting a new job. We're going to have to be upskilling ourselves on a regular cadence. And what I find as somebody who admittedly is a bit of a technology laggard.
Really? You?
Absolutely.
It's amazing. In all of the AI space that you're in, you would consider yourself a laggard in the environment. If you're a laggard, I haven't even gotten out of the womb yet.
Full disclosure, I did not even try using AI as a tool until this year.
Wow.
I have been running solution stacks or companies that are deploying these solutions out in the wild, and I know the pros and cons of it. But the reason I know that is I was in love with a problem, and I knew it was the most effective tool to help the most people. It wasn't that I was in love with the technology. And so the problem I wanted to address was, how do we help as many marginalized women and children out there in the world to have some justice when there are things that are happening that are very obviously problematic in their experiences. So AI was the right tool to fit that model. And then I had access, by working at a tech company, to all the best thinkers in that space. So all I had to do was really bring them the business problem, the what's the return on investment if we update this data center and we choose to make this commitment for this amount of time, we can impact the lives of 20 million people that are victims of this crime using technology. Those are the things I'm really good at. Building the stack, absolutely not. I have
not a coder.
I know how to fundraise. I know how to sell a message. I know how to get alignment with the executives and get everybody on board. And I know how to let my technical co-lead know what success looks like. How the sausage is made is not my area of expertise.
Well, you walk this gray line between these two completely separate topics, yet the two collide in what you do, and one of them is this tech space, this AI stuff that you work in, and the other is this human side of keeping people safe. Can you share a little bit so that we're not confusing my audience? It's like, okay, well, in one instance we're talking about AI and technology. In the other instance, we're talking about safety. So maybe just share a little bit about that and how those two things come together for you.
Yeah, I think I'm the product of a generation of women who were raised by kind of some of the feminists of the 80s that were raised not only can you be anything, but you should be everything, because multiple generations have fought for your rights to be part of the workforce. And, goodness, the same decade I was born in the 70s, for a few years of that, it wasn't even legal for a woman to have a credit card or own property. I think we forget how far we've come. And so I came out when I graduated from high school and went to college. I was really excited to call home and share my major that I chose. I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to help people.
Did you have to sweep your mom up off the floor figuring out where your income was going to come from as a social worker, or was that not one of her concerns?
Well, my mom has a master's in social work.
Okay.
So
all right.
She's pretty familiar with the field. And she decided to go back to school to get an MBA after doing social work for a while. So she had a pretty strong opinion about it. And her perspective was that she paid for engineering school, but I was free to study whatever I'd like. And at 18, I just went with the path of least resistance and got the degree in engineering. So I think that proclivity towards being more interested in the human story than maybe the tech story allowed me to take a different perspective in the meetings and the rooms that I'm in. I had 20 years of corporate experience learning the levers of the business and how to influence people and get them out of their own way to create legacies and innovation that they're proud of at the end of their career.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I kind of cut my teeth figuring out how to do it the way that makes you successful.
Right.
And then once I kind of scaled that mountain, I realized it was a bit empty for me because it wasn't what I was called to do. And so I stepped into my own leadership at that time to be an entrepreneur because it was very clear that my agenda and the corporate agenda had diverged, and I wasn't going to continue to get funding to do that work.
Well, was it part of your path that inspired you to write this book? Because again, the book is really a third topic that you've introduced, which doesn't necessarily, at least from an outsider's perspective, relate to, okay, let's talk about technology, or let's talk about human safety. But now we have this third idea of this book, and the book actually introduces the readers to a 90-day career reboot. So maybe can you tell me how the book fits it? Yeah, tie them all together so that my listeners can understand what's going on.
Sure. So I would say the book is a third memoir of being in corporate America and learning all the lessons of how to be effective and some of the headwinds that are faced in those environments. It's a third recipe. If you are at a place where you're starting to feel that burnout, you're starting to feel like survival mode, you're starting to lose contact with your own wisdom, whether that be inside of a company or as the leader of your own company, how to get reconnected to your own wisdom and get really clear where you want to go and where you want to double down to ultimately get you towards the outcomes you're looking for. And then the last third is about the journey of how to influence all the stakeholders when you're a solopreneur, or when you're running a small company, or when you're inside of a large company trying to push a project that is basically entrepreneurship. What I wanted to do was distill all the lessons learned from all of these different journeys so that as more people maybe hit that second mountain of life, I really like that analogy that, the first mountain you climb is about being successful based on the definitions of maybe the generations that came before you. Mm-hmm. And the second mountain is really around identifying your own North Star of what success looks like to you. I wanted to try to give really practical tools for people that are in the midst of that journey to make it as easy as possible. I wanted to give people confidence that even when you have setbacks and you need to be adaptable in that journey, that there's nothing you're going to face that doesn't allow you to pivot and continue.
In your experience in the tech and cyberspace, cyber environments, do you feel like it is? Do you feel like that's those are more challenging environments for people to be in, and burnout happens more frequently, stress happens more frequently because of the speed at which those environments is moving, or is there something else, or am I missing the point?
I think those are two fields where you are subjected to potentially a lot of vicarious trauma. Usually you're dealing with a threat actor in either of those scenarios. You can't really separate digital safety and cybersecurity. They're kind of inherently interlocked. It's kind of two sides of the same coin in a lot of cases. If you increase privacy, sometimes you reduce safety of targets of crime. And then when you increase safety, sometimes you lose privacy for people that aren't trying to commit crime. So it's all kind of interrelated. So I think, yes, that was definitely a fast track to burnout towards me in the corporate America space. I think on the other side of things, though, is in entrepreneurship, I've never met a founder, especially in the early stages, that feels like they have enough time, money, mental health support, community, all the things. And so, yes, I think there's something about my temperament that has brought me into environments that are addressing challenges that probably won't be solved in one generation. So I wanted to help other people that may be in the same place that feel like I used to create a lot of shame for myself. Like, I got myself into this situation. How can I be upset that I'm affected by it? And what I realized is the way you combat that is community and connection. And I hope that the book creates more community and connection for people that are in that situation.
Well, and you threw yourself into an environment also that you added the other element of challenge, which is it's a male dominated environment in the environment that you got in. So not only do you have all of these pressures and the speed at which technology changes, but now you're dealing with unfortunately the uphill battle of being a woman in a male dominated environment. You're a member of SWE, the Society of Women Engineers, also. And actually, you don't know this. I was going to tell you this before I hit record, and then I realized I'll just save it for the interview. We produce SWE's podcast, so cool. I've been on many calls, and I listen with awe to the things that I didn't know, in addition to the challenges that there are in the world of engineering or technology or cybersecurity. In addition to all of those challenges, you also have the challenge, which you shouldn't have, but you do because it's just the reality of where life is, unfortunately, of being a woman in that environment, which is a big challenge too. I'd love you to just say a couple of words about that, because I think that's an important obstacle you haven't mentioned, but I know you've had to overcome.
I'd say it's why I kept the first third in the book, is because what I found in researching for the book, reaching out to my network of women who have come up through the ranks with me in technology in the last 25 years, is that although a lot of us have ascended to VPs or C-suite roles, we never talk about what you have to endure to get there.
Right.
And so by researching for this book and really asking those pointed questions, what I found is people that I've known for years, that I really respect and admire, that I hold on a pedestal myself as role models, have had a lot of the same challenges that I've had. But even though we have known each other for decades, I never knew. We don't talk about it.
Right.
And so what I wanted to do with putting it in the book and making it more obvious is to help people that are maybe experiencing those things not live with the questioning of, what am I doing to draw this negative attention to myself that I don't want? Why, no matter which way I adjust how I approach this situation, is it not working out? And reminding people that you don't have to know why something is toxic in order to take your ball and move to another field.
That's the beauty of also being an entrepreneur. It's your ball, so you can take it wherever you want to.
And I regret the years that I stayed too long. And I hoped by writing the book, it would maybe unlock one or two people to leave a couple of months earlier and start their healing recovery and step into their leadership and power faster. That can be men, that could be women, that could be all the things. Frankly, I did not find being a woman in tech very challenging for the first 15 years of my career. When motherhood got introduced and I didn't have as much control over my time and my obligations outside of work, that's when I found it to start to be more difficult. So
one of the things that I know that you do, again, in your diverse career that you have, bringing all of the skill sets that you have into the forefront, you speak professionally about this, as a keynote speaker in a number of organizations also, because I think it's the perfect handshake for what you do. I mean, all of these experiences, whether it's the experience of as an author, or as someone that's a cyber expert, or somebody that is an expert at technology, or as an engineer, as an expert, or just going through the schooling for all of that stuff. What are some of the topics that you bring to organizations when they hire you to come in and talk to them? Because I'd love to know that too.
Thank you. I think on the technology side of topics, the places where I've found my little niche, so to speak, has been really in the areas of trust, safety, and ethics, especially as it comes to innovation. So I've been deploying solutions in the wild since 2015 with AI. And so what I think I can bring to the conversation is real world examples of how we're using it to reduce bias, to increase to level out the playing field for new players to be able to have a chance. For example, there's a known bias in tech for promotion, right? How can we use technology to help reduce some of those barriers for entry for new groups? And so I think I can be a living role model of what's possible when you give people opportunity to step into their own leadership, and what the art of the possible is for AI when you are using it to solve a specific issue that affects society, whether that be healthcare, whether that be national security, whether that be helping to increase justice for victims. Those things are ways that we can use this technology for a very positive societal gain, where a lot of people are very fearful of it. I also can be a truth teller about what some of the downsides of using this technology can be if it's misapplied. That's where I have found a really nice niche where I aspire to grow in terms of building my speaking career is really around the themes of adaptability. I've had to reinvent myself quite a few times over the years. I started this conversation with my mission and my path were divergent from the start. So I think all of my adaptions over all of these years has been getting back to where I started in the first place, which is what's the mark I want to leave in the world? And that mark to me is, what's the point of getting to a level of power, success as a woman if you don't lift the other women around you globally that have never had a chance?
Yeah, I mean that's amazing, and that's a great mission to undertake, and I see quickly from your entrepreneurial prowess your ability to see the vision of that coming true. It's hard as an engineer to not know all of the facts going into something, right? You're probably one that likes to cross off the list and have your tasks and complete the task. As an entrepreneur, that's just not a luxury that we have been ever afforded. So you're kind of walking in virgin turf when it comes to trying to achieve your goals as someone that's an engineer, not knowing exactly what steps that you need to take. How does that feel for you?
I think that I have a wider range of emotion in a day than I would prefer. I'm always aspiring to reduce the amplitude of that sine wave.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I have a sense of over responsibility for trying to fix things that I didn't create. And so I have unrealistic dreams of what is possible. But I think that's what makes me a great entrepreneur in some ways, because if we're not crazy enough to think we can reinvent the future, there's no room for you here anyways. And last but not least, I try to hold myself accountable to the intent and not the outcome, because ultimately, we plan and God laughs. I find in trying to lift things for women globally, I have helped probably more men than women, because none of the advice is not beneficial in terms of how to accomplish your goals and how to say more no's to the things that don't serve you and more yeses to the things that you feel uniquely qualified and called to do, so that you can really have an impact. That working definition of innovation is really solving a problem and putting it into use. And I feel like we have so much need at this time in our history, with this rate of advancement in technology, that innovators are really looking at how they can make a positive impact with their work. And so that's why I wrote a book. It's
interesting. I read a book about I don't remember how many decades ago. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I was reintroduced to this book through my girlfriend just a handful of years ago. And I know that reading it now means something completely different than when I read it, as a guy that's just getting started on my entrepreneurial journey, I don't know, 20 or 30 years ago, however often the book was written. One of the areas that they talk about in the book, I guess the point of this whole thing was the question here. One of the points that they make in the book is, staying in your zone of genius. You've done so many things in your career, most of them successful. I mean, we didn't talk about any of the failures, but there's so many in my life. It's like, how many were in your life? I'm sure there was.
Failure is the price of admission for success.
Yeah, especially
it does not come without the other.
So what would you say is your zone of genius? What's like the gift that comes easiest to you that would be difficult for somebody else that you have no problem introducing to the world or continuing to carry out to the world?
I think my special genius is connecting the dots between many industries and many lived experiences.
Yes, you do that really well too.
I I've had the luxury of being in a lot of rooms that most people don't have access to where decisions are made. And probably because I wasn't super passionate about the decisions that were being made, maybe my mind wandered a little bit more to, wow, if we could get the focus of these kinds of people that have the power to do things about, maybe scenarios that they don't personally experience, but maybe their children do, maybe their spouses do, maybe their loved ones, some sisters, nieces, whatever you want to say, maybe their special needs brother, whatever it is. I think when we can unify around our common humanity, we can get out of the tit for tat and arguing and rise up to all grow together and do something we're really proud of. And I think my special capability is to come to these experts and these people with power in a way to authentically connect and get them engaged in a mission beyond themselves that helps them bring their special gifts to a broader audience. And I've done that. If you want me to put on an engineering hat to be invited in the room, I'll do that. If you want me to put an author hat on so I'm hireable as a keynote speaker, I'll do that for you. If you want me to be an entrepreneur and show you that I can raise money and have a successful exit, I've checked that box. But those are all just checks on the dance card to get access to the people that can make a difference.
Yeah. Oh man, that's such a great way of saying it. So for those in our community that have been I guess on the journey yourself, and you see yourself as, I have this shiny object syndrome as a squirrel, and you're out there saying, maybe I just shouldn't have this shiny object syndrome all the time. I mean, honestly, I know I have it. I feel like Lisa has it. I'm not saying that as a slap at all. It really is.
My husband would concur.
I go for opportunity. Opportunity tends to find me. And if you're looking for opportunity, it will find you. And the nice thing about it is that you've raised those shiny object, the value of those to things like engineering, cyber, technology, you name it, and you've as an author, I mean, having a shiny object syndrome and writing a book, that's a pretty good shiny object. Getting an engineering degree, going beyond just being a W-2 employee and being that entrepreneur. These are all great things and you've accomplished them really well. I'm excited that you were able to share your message and inspiration. I'm surprised you actually wanted to sit in this guest seat to talk.
Oh my goodness. It's a luxury to be able to share my message, because I'll be honest with you, the place where I have not figured this out yet is, how do I take a lifetime's worth of hard-earned lessons with my nose on the concrete and put it into a 3-minute soundbite that gets people to pick up a book or to consider hiring me for a 30-minute talk. I've checked the box of speaking at South by Southwest and TED.
Right.
I've done paid engagements at big companies like Nike and Blue Shield, but it's not like my phone is ringing off the hook. I don't know how to create the awareness that I'm here to give that more balanced point of view when our society is driven by clicks and sound bites on the news of people that will say the most polarizing and catastrophic things, when I want to focus on what are the things that unify us and we can all agree on, because there's so much positive change that could happen if we just focus on what's the overlap, not the extremes.
Well, with such a diverse amount of experience that you've had in your background, the phone may not ring specifically for one subject, but it will ring over the width of the subject matters that you can cover. And there's no doubt in my mind, in everything else that you have put your mind to in life, you've been successful. There's no reason that this portion of your life you won't be successful at it either. It may not be at the level where you feel like it needs to be now, but maybe
that's where my growth is, Doug.
for what
Maybe
ambitious
not
person is
chasing
it?
the validation is exactly the lesson I should be seeking this season of my life.
And maybe that is the case. I think that more is a really shitty goal that I have had for so many years of my life that I just said I'm not going to. More is not a goal that you will ever attain. It's going to be something that you continue to chase. And when Strickland and I, he's the partner, my partner in my production business. We discovered a few years ago, we're only going to do the things that we enjoy doing as responsibilities. And when we did that, I would say that our business, if not tripled, it at least doubled, because we started delegating. We also started to eliminate things from our life that we didn't want to do. Like I even have on my email signature, Doug hates spreadsheets. So it's like anybody sends me according to my profile, I like relationships, I like selling, I like communication, I'm great with follow-up, and I hate fucking spreadsheets. So don't show me any spreadsheets.
Music to my ears, Doug. So what I will say is that I feel like the reason I wrote the book is I cracked the code on how to do what you just said in terms of corporate American entrepreneurship.
Right.
And I have a recipe that works for people. I've tested it in the market and it works reliably with the heavy majority of my clients. I have not cracked that code for myself in retiring from being the operator.
Yeah.
And being more the mentor and guide going forward.
Well, as an entrepreneur, again, I'm going to come back to this. This is your curse, because part of your curse is the ambition that drives you to the next thing. If you would have just stayed down and been satisfied with the success that you had in these other things, you wouldn't say, "Oh man, I was successful at that." And then you've kind of jumped that turnstile and you're on to the next thing, which is again an entrepreneur's curse. We are always looking for what is our next opportunity.
Well, I would say yes, and
yeah.
The turnstile was moved for me. I had a very significant health consequence of getting COVID. I am physically, hearing, and mentally disabled. That is the reality that I've had to come to terms with over the last few years. It's not going to change. It can be better managed by reducing my stress. As we know, entrepreneurship and technology are not low stress fields to be in.
No, not at all.
So after getting where I finally found my rhythm, I am no longer qualified to do that work. So that is probably where that adaptability piece comes in. I pivoted to authoring so that I can show other people that it's possible, so that the people that are still able to have the resilience to do it know that there's a path for them and they have the hope to keep trying. And I'm still probably somewhere in my process of grieving, losing who I was and not trying to compete with an older version of myself, because it's a fool's errand at this point.
All right. So let me tell you what I heard in that. Let me tell you what I heard, because I think that this is not that I'm going to teach you any lesson at all, but for those in our community, just think about this. When a door closes, a door opens. And the door that closed on Lisa's previous career for health reasons, blessing, curse. I've met many people. Many have been in our guest seat that have had debilitating diseases. They've had cancer. They've had issues. And I said, without a doubt and without any exception, I don't think that anybody has said to me that I got that and I am fucking pissed. What they said was, thank God I got that, because that led me to the next thing. And so for you,
I'll let you know when I get there, Doug.
Yeah, we're all right. Well, I looked at, as soon as we connected before Nice Guy Community, you won't know this because it's not recorded, but before I connected, before I hit record and we were having this pre-conversation, I said, look, I'm a podcasting hammer. Everything looks like a podcasting nail to me. I kept thinking in my mind, why doesn't Lisa have a podcast? Why, and actually she did. She was hosting professionally a podcast for another organization. I kept thinking, why doesn't she have her own? She'd never have to leave her house again if she chose not to. All of the things that are out there. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to sit on this for a little while and let's see where the conversation goes. And the more you're talking, the more I'm feeling like okay, let's talk about low stress, working a couple of hours a day if you need to, and batch recording and all of the other things, and not having to. I love the idea that you're going out and giving keynote speeches, but I'd rather you make the same money not leaving your house.
Well, Doug, maybe this will be that turning point we point back to in the future and say, and I had those experiences when I finally stopped trying to hold on to corporate America and make it something that it wasn't.
Right.
I stepped into my leadership as a founder. It was so accidental, Doug. I literally went to a mentor of mine that I worked with in corporate America and begged him for a job to get me out of the one that was just grinding me into the dirt.
Well, but can't you?
And he said to me, I can't hire you because I already hired for that position. And I said, well, I have this one idea for a company, but I'm already burnt out and I've got 2 little kids. Talk me out of doing it. And as we talked about it, within a month, he gave me $200,000 to start a company. And my friend from Apple that I had been talking to, because our kids went to preschool together, quit his executive position to go launch it with me.
Incredible.
So perhaps this is one of those moments where the universe is rising to see something I can't quite see yet. Maybe you are another guide in my journey. I've just learned to be more open to, I don't have to drive. I have to have the right intention, and then the right people will show up to help me.
Well, that's absolutely law of attraction. One thing that I'm a huge believer in is that if you actually want it badly enough and the desire is there and you take the action steps, it absolutely is going to come to you. And I keep thinking about, if you hadn't gotten sick and if you hadn't had the debilitating condition that you had, what would have changed in your life? Would you still be on that merry-go-round?
Absolutely. I'd still be I'd be an entrepreneur. I love early stage startups. The way I get my fix these days is being an advisor to CEOs. So I still get some of the juice, but I don't have
without
the best day and the worst day of my life separated by 3 hours happening 3 times a day. But it's something you never forget once you've experienced it.
No, you don't.
And so I can be that cheerleader and that pick me up during those like troughs of distress.
Right.
that can help them get back to their brilliance. But I would be an operator still. I love innovation. And I think that I'd probably be in my prime of doing it now that I'm 46, because I have enough lessons under my belt.
Absolutely.
To do it smarter, better, faster. And I hope that getting it on paper can save first-time founders at least some of the painful lessons that, I learned from doing it wrong and making it more difficult than it needed to be.
So if you are in our community, Nice Guy communities, you're listening to this episode, you definitely want to pick up a copy of Lisa's book. It's called Go Reboot Your Career in 90 Days. I'll make sure I put a link in the show notes so that you guys have access to that. You can see from her diverse amount of experience that she has that she's the one that will either be able to teach you through the book or bring her out to your organization to chat about. And if there's a subject that you think that Lisa would be instrumental in sharing with your team, whether it's a small team or a large team, she'll come out. Hell, she'll figure out a program that would fit into your environment. Just you can hear the amount of experience that she has. Don't let this go wasted just on your ears only. Let the people in your organization hear it as well. Lisa, am I missing anything? Is there any questions that I should be asking you that I haven't asked?
No, I think it's been a really robust conversation. The only thing I will add is that the book is available on Audible now. I know when I was a founder, audiobooks saved my life. I did not have the luxury of sitting down and just turning pages. So, it's available at Barnes and Noble and all the places you shop for books, as well as on Amazon and Audible. So hopefully it can get to people that are the busy professionals that probably need the most support.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for sharing your not only your message, but inspiring the community and inspiring me. I always feel like the episodes that I do, especially with people that like kind of reek of success, always find in a good way. I always find that I leave these interviews like I'm ready to like tackle the world as soon as I disconnect from you. Unfortunately, or fortunately, either way you look at it, the only thing that separates me from Turkey is you right now, because we're right before Thanksgiving as we are recording this. So for all of those in our community, get a copy of Lisa's book, whether audio or you put the thing in your hands and read it. I can't tell you the last time I put a book in my hands. I listen to them all the time.
Yeah, when my publisher asked, do you want to do the audiobook or not? I just felt like I was not going to be picking up a book when I needed this the most. We had to make it accessible for people that have 15 plates are spinning and are trying to figure out how to drop the plastic ones and not the glass ones.
Do you remember, did you read the book or did somebody else read it?
I hired a professional voice actor. From working on my web series and my podcast, I learned how difficult it is to accurately read something. And I thought I'd destroy my self-confidence trying to read that book. It's
freaking crazy. I was just having a conversation with my partner, again, Strickland, when we were talking last week on the podcast. Go back and listen to, I don't know, episode number 1440 something. I don't know. Nice Guy Community. You can figure it out. It's one of the DNS message episodes. I just remember going in, it was about maybe a 6-hour read because it was like 160 pages or something like that. And literally they give you the book. They have a producer sit in the other room. They give you all the water that you want. They give you all the time in the world. You're not rushed to do it. And all I had to do was put my head down and just like read the freaking pages. It is so hard. You always want to go off on a tangent as you're reading your own book.
Or you want to rewrite it because you're like, oh, I don't like how that sounds. And they're like, no, it is published.
Read.
You can't change it now.
Nothing. Just read the pages. Just read there's words on pages. It's as simple as that. You know how to read. You've learned that, you've known that since like 3rd grade. Just go ahead and read.
It sounded different in my head.
I know. I was the same way. You did the right thing, even though it probably cost you a couple dollars extra to have somebody read the book. I'll tell you, it was the most challenging experiences that I will never. I said to Strickland, Strick, my next book, which is almost all written, I said, would you read this? And he's like, I would read this. I'm like, okay, good, because I don't want to do it.
See, improvement right there. You're growing because you're delegating the things that don't serve you.
So didn't want to do it. Lisa, thank you for sharing. Thanks for being here on the show today. I'm excited to get some positive feedback from our community. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Hey, Nice Guy Community, never underestimate the power of nice or the power of rebooting your career. Make sure you check the link in the show notes for all of the information about Lisa's book and her business. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Click on the Patreon link in the show notes. And for as little as $2 a month, you can help support the podcast and get access to fun bonus content. That's like half a cup of Starbucks coffee once a month, a grande, double shot, maybe a little flavoring. Thanks for listening. I mean, seriously, you need to cut back on your caffeine anyway.